I'm Gabe Jaramillo. I've been coaching tennis since 1971. I have developed 8 number ones in the world, 26 top 10, and worked with many people that were top 100 in the world. My system is about making champions. All about is making champions. I want to make the number one in the world one more time. That's what I'm all about. My philosophy is very simple. I work with what the players have. I improve what they have. I develop weapons and I concentrate on those weapons. I know that a lot of coaches that try to help the students, making sure that the backhand is better or that the strokes are very complete. I'll do the same, but I concentrate in one thing only, making sure that they develop those weapons every single day. That way, I develop confidence. So again, it's a very simple system. As you're gonna see through these tapes, through these videos, I developed the system in a very easy way. No extra motions, and hitting the ball very simple and very clean. There are different ways to make tennis players. The most important thing for me at the beginning is technique. The technique has to be perfect. If the students don't have the proper technique, it is very difficult for them to be able to assimilate or to be able to translate what they teach on the court to perform in a match. So the strokes have to be absolutely perfect. They have to be clean, they have to be good, and they have to be solid. Now the second part about coaching is how we transfer the information that we have to the student. The most important thing is we have to be able to connect with that student. We have to be able to connect mentally. It is very difficult for any coach to transfer that information to the student when he doesn't know his pupil, when he doesn't understand how he thinks. So that's what is so important and is vital for any coach to make sure that they know the student very well, to make sure they know how they tick, to make sure to know how they think. As part of the philosophy, when we coach, for example, we coach very fast. When you see us on the court coaching, we stop very little. We also try to make sure the student feels the ball, because I feel that the students have to be feel-based, not mechanical-based. The students, when they study the stroke and they stay very mechanic, once they hit a slump, it's very difficult for them to come out. So what we try to do is make sure that they feel the ball properly. Every time when they hit the ball, they have to feel it. And the only way to do that is through a lot of repetition, and the repetition has to be perfect. Like I said before, I've been coaching since 1971, and the tennis has changed a lot. Today was more of a finesse game. A lot of the players used to play with continental grips, and the very good players used to play with Eastern forehand grips. Today those grips don't exist anymore. People are playing with semi-Western grips, Western grips. So the game is a lot stronger, the game is a lot faster. Before it used to be more linear. People used to just step into the ball and kind of hit the ball with the other guy's power. Not today. Today they're creating the power. And they're creating the power by using a lot of the hips, a lot of the body. So the tennis is a lot faster, it's a lot stronger. It's a completely different game. Today is more of a power game. And that's what we're going to be seeing through this series, how these games has changed. How it went from being very, very linear to today being a lot more angular. From just keeping the ball in play and being steady and being able to touch the ball to today, which is all execution about hitting the ball fast, early, hard. That's what tennis is all about today. That's where you see a lot of the players today. They're very different. Today the players are bigger, they are stronger, they are faster, they are taller. So tennis is a different game. It's a lot more aggressive than before. Today we're going to work on the forehand. We're going to work on the forehand stroke, and we're going to teach the modern way to teach a forehand stroke. The forehand is the most used stroke in the game today. Most of the players today are aggressive baseliners. What they do is they keep the ball in play, they wait for the short ball, and they hit the forehand to the open court to win the point. So the forehand is the weapon for most of the players in today's game. So we're going to put a lot of emphasis on the forehand. The first thing that we're going to look is at the grip. The grip is going to determine how the players are going to play. If they're going to play from the baseline, if they're going to attack. So the grip is going to measure a lot of the way also they hit the ball. So we're going to start first with the different types of grips that are in the game today. The first one is the continental grip. This is the grip when the hand is on top. Then we go to the Eastern forehand grip. We go to the semi-Western forehand. And then to the Western. These are the four types of grips. Now this is the way we look from behind. The continental grip, the palm is on top. This is the Eastern, semi-Western, where the hand is behind, and the Western grip. So these are the four types of grips that are in the game today. Now, I also want you to think that in today's game, nobody plays with a continental grip. Very few people play with the Eastern forehand grip. Most of the players today, 80% of the players play with the semi-Western grip, and the 20 of them play with the Western grip. So those are the two most common grips in the game today. That's why the game is so different too, because the ball is bouncing a lot higher. The players are able to use more topspin, getting their racket under the ball and brushing the ball up because of the grip, the semi-Western and the Western grips. So when the ball bounces in the baseline, the ball is a lot higher and a lot heavier. One of the most common mistakes with the grips, especially when the students are starting, is that they choke on the racket. They play from here. What we want to do is we want to make sure that they hold the racket properly in this position. Remember, we want to avoid a continental grip. We want to avoid a continental grip. And we want to avoid this type of grip, this type of Western grip that is too much for the students. Now, a lot of the little kids, especially when they are 8 years old, 9 years old, when they play with regular balls, they try to play with these grips to be able to hit the ball when it's high. So what we want to do is we want to make sure first that the racket is held from this position here. Hold a good semi-Western grip, okay? And this is the proper position to hold the racket, especially when we started. So the first thing we need to analyze is the student's grip. Remember, it's very important that they have the proper grip. If they have a weak grip, they won't be able to play. So the first thing, as coaches, we need to make sure they have the proper grip. The second thing that we need to talk about is the athletic foundation. Once the student has the right grip, when he holds the racket correctly, we're making sure that before the ball is or the shot is executed, that they have a very good athletic foundation. Very wide base, the very, very strong upper body, the arms very relaxed. In front of the body, not here, just very relaxed in front of the body, always moving. The most important thing is the upper body needs to be very strong, very good athletic foundation, and very low. If you look at the players today, they play from this position here. From this position, it's easy to react. From this position, it's easy to move. If the players are playing too high, it'll be very difficult for them to react to a very fast hit ball. So remember, again, the athletic foundation, very wide base, racket in front very relaxed, head straight. This is very important for them to be able to move to the next shot. So again, good athletic foundation, very low, very strong, very relaxed, very far away from the body, and very low. At the center of gravity, low to the ground. From here we can move. This is a very strong athletic foundation. The athletic foundation, very important. Another common mistake is the athletic foundation. When the students are waiting for the ball and they are too tall, too high, the feet too narrow, very straight, and the elbows close to the body. This is very typical, especially when the kids are starting. So it is important to make sure when they start again that they have a very wide base, that they get down low, the arms are away from the body. Don't let them start in this position here like this. Don't let them start from here, because from here it's very difficult to react to the ball. Okay, so that was one of the most common mistakes, is the ready position being very weak. So from this athletic foundation, when the player sees the ball coming, the first thing they do is they move. But when they move, they take a lot of little steps, even before they get ready. These steps are called adjustment steps. If you look at the best players in the world, they always hit the ball very solid in the middle of the strings. And the reason why is because they take a lot of little steps to hit the ball. If you look at the players that are not that good, they take 1 or 2 steps and that's it. So what we want our players to do is, as soon as they see the ball coming, they adjust very quickly with the little steps to be able to hit the ball, to be able to get set. So when the ball comes, a lot of little steps to get set. Okay, those are called adjustment steps. If you look at most of the good players too, before they hit the ball, they take 2 steps forward. Every time they get adjusted, they take 2 steps forward, which is called double rhythm. All that is part of the adjustment steps process. That has to happen before the student starts taking the racket back. We want to see also when students move for the ball, they take very big, very long steps to get to the ball. So they are always out of balance. So that's what is so important, the little adjustment steps to get to the ball. Don't let it get with 1 step and swing from there, or taking 1 or 2 big steps. Little steps to get to the ball. So when we're taking the little steps, the adjustment steps, to be able to hit the ball, what we're looking for is a proper spacing. Spacing means when we hit the ball, we cannot be too far, we cannot be too close, we cannot be high. So when we make contact with the ball, it has to be right in the perfect spot. That's the spacing. So every time from the ready position here to the little adjustment, steps, what we're looking for is we're looking to get the ball in the right position to be able to hit the ball with the proper spacing to hit the ball. That spacing is essential to be able to hit the ball properly and in the middle of the strings. If you look at the good players in the world, all of them hit the ball right in the middle of the strings because they have proper spacing. When I'm looking for talent, and if I look at an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, one of the first things that I look for is the proper spacing. When the students are good, they find the right spacing. When the students don't have the talent, they always are too close or too far. So remember, little adjustment steps, and right away we're looking for the perfect spacing to hit the ball at the contact point that is perfect for the stroke. It's very typical also when they move with the big steps that when they get to the ball, they are too close to the body and they're swinging very close, or they're swinging very far from the ball. So to get the right spacing, remember, we need the adjustment steps to be able to hit the ball at the proper timing. Don't let the students hit too close or too far. It's important that they learn how to move back, that they learn how to move forward, that they learn how to adjust for the ball. With those little steps is what it takes to be able to get the proper spacing to hit the ball in the proper contact point. So after we find out the right distance to the ball, after we're in the proper position, then we start the lowering process. The lowering process starts with the hips. The hips turn very fast. We're staying low to the ground. This hand, which is the non-dominant hand, is going to stay on the racket long to be able to also to turn the shoulders. So it's a big shoulder turn, big hip turn when we're ready to hit the ball. From here, we're accumulating the elastic energy. All we're doing here is accumulating the elastic energy to be able to release it as we hit the ball. This is going to give us the power on the stroke. This part right here, this position right here, where you're going to see most of the better players today, the top 10, top 20 in the world, are going to load very strongly to be able to hit the ball very, very fast. In today's game, most of the injuries are in the hips. In the past, it used to be in the shoulders. Today, they are more in the hips because the players are really loading very, very hard with the hips to be able to hit the ball with a lot more angular momentum. Before, it used to be more linear. Today, it's more angular. And the reason they get that angular momentum is because of the big loading that they get in to hit the ball. There's two things that happen on the loading. One is that they don't load properly, that the ball comes and they just swing from here without really turning the body. And the second mistake is when they overdo it, when they weigh way too much, and then when they hit the ball, they're out of balance. So we always have to look for those two mistakes. Make sure that they load properly. Make sure that the legs are wide apart. Make sure that it's staying low to the ground. Make sure that the shoulder turn and the hip turn are proportional. So don't let them overturn or hit just from here. So make sure the loading is properly corrected when they hit the ball. The way we take the racket back is the back swing. In the modern tennis, the back swing doesn't cross the plane of the shoulders. Most of the guys are going to hit from this position. Some of the girls, the racket is going to go a little farther back to be able to develop more power. What we want for our students is to make sure when they take the racket back that the racket doesn't cross the plane of the shoulders, stays in the same plane of the shoulders. From here, the racket will drop and hit. Now, the right position is when they take the racket back, the racket goes right here. The term that we like to use is hang the racket on the wall. When they take the racket back, they hang the racket on the wall. This is the way to hit the racket back. Very simple. From here, the racket drops and they hit. So again, the back swing right here. The racket doesn't cross the plane of the shoulder, stays on the same side of the shoulder. What you want to prevent the students from doing is taking the racket too far back. Okay? So again, one of the terms that we use over and over again is hang the racket on the wall. Hang the racket on the wall, and from there the racket will drop and hit. That's the back swing. Again, remember, what we're looking for is we're looking for the racket to stay in this position, not crossing the plane of the shoulders. When the boys are small and the girls are small, they have the tendency to go a little bit further back with the back swing to be able to develop more power. In the professional tour, you're going to see that a lot of the girls go a little farther back to develop more power. The boys don't. The boy takes the racket from here and they swing right from this position. What we're looking for with our students, no matter the age, no matter they're boys or girls, we're trying for them to keep their racket in the perfect position. Right from here, without crossing the plane of the shoulders, so the racket can drop and hit in one continuous motion. One of the most common mistakes is a big back swing. When the ball comes to take the racket, very big back swing, because they're going to lose their timing. When the racket goes back, the hand stays about shoulder level. And if you look at the racket, it's about head level. If the hand is above the head, the swing is too big. And this is a very common mistake when they take the racket very high and very big on the back swing. So make sure when they take the racket back, they just rotate. Just the arm and the racket when they rotate. And the hand stays below the shoulders. Once we have loaded and we're taking the racket back, right before we start our forward motion, we stand to hit the ball. Now there are three ways to hit the ball. One is open stance. Another one is neutral stance. And the other one is closed stance. Again, so it's open stance, it's going to be neutral, and it's going to be closed. Now, what is going to determine how to stand to hit the ball is going to be the opponent's ball. If the ball comes very fast, we're probably going to have to hit open stance. If the ball is high, we're probably going to have to hit open stance. If the ball is comfortable, then we're going to step right into the shot. If the ball is very uncomfortable running wide, we're probably going to swing across. So remember, it doesn't matter. The opponent is the one that's going to dictate how you're going to get to the ball. If you have plenty of time, remember to take the little two steps into the shot. If the ball is coming very fast or very high, we're going to hit open stance. So 3 ways to hit the ball. Nothing wrong with each one of them. Remember, the opponent's ball, how fast, how hard, how early he's hitting the ball, is going to determine how we're going to stand to hit the ball. Another common mistake is when the students stay too soon. The ball comes and they take the racket back and step at the same time, when they do everything at once, and they try to swing from there. It's different movements. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. It's completely different separate movements. 1, 2, 3. A lot of the students have the tendency to take the racket back and step, and then they have to swing from there without any balance. So remember, it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 when they hit the ball. The lock-in marks the end of the backswing and also marks the end of what we're loading. Okay, so we call it lock-in position. It's like when a military plane is following another one and it puts it on the sides, it's called the lock-in position. If it's not locked-in, they cannot fire the missile. Same thing in the forehand. Once we take the racket back, once we get set, the racket is back. When we come to this position here, is the lock-in position. The lock-in position is when the bar of the racket is pointing at the ball. From here, the bar of the racket is pointing at the ball. From here, we can pull the trigger and we can fire, not before that. So this marks the end of the backswing. And from here, once we lock in, we're able to fire. One thing we're always looking for when we have our students in the other side, we have to be able to see this part clearly. We gotta be able to see that part pointing at the ball. If that part is not pointing at the ball, then that means that the student is doing something wrong. Okay, so this is the lock-in position. The lock-in as coaches, we have to be able to see the bar of the racket. We have to be able to see the bar of the racket when the forward swing starts. If the student has the racket this way, or the student has the racket this way before they start the forward swing, it is very difficult for them to swing at the ball. If the racket is this way, the ball is behind you. So we are always looking to make sure that the distance is proper, and that this part is pointing and is under the ball. That's what we're looking for in the lock-in position. Don't let the student go back or this way or this way. Once we lock in, once we're in the lock-in position, we determine the leverage. The leverage is the mechanical advantage of the arm and the racket over the ball, and is marked by the grip. There are a lot of people that don't understand grips, for example. Now, in the semi-western grip, you're gonna see a 90, a 90. This is the position. In an Eastern forehand grip, the arm is going to be more extended. If you look at Roger Federer, the arm is a little more extended when he hits the ball. If you look at Nadal that has a Western grip, the arm looks this way. If you look at the players with the semi-Western grips, it's 90, 90, 90. And this part doesn't lie. The leverage doesn't lie with the grip. Because if you have the type of grip, it's going to mark exactly the type of leverage that you're going to have on the stroke. And again, so when you lock in, that marks your leverage. From this point all the way to contact point, the leverage doesn't move. The leverage maintains the same. So if it's a 90-90, you're going to see the 90-90 through the stroke until contact point. If it's an Eastern forehand grip, you're going to see the arm a little more extended. From here to here, it's going to be a little more extended. Okay, so the leverage changes. Again, the leverage is very important to determine what kind of grip the student has, and also the power that he's going to execute into the shot. Remember, leverage is the mechanical advantage that we're going to have, the mechanical advantage of the arm and the racket over the ball. One of the mistakes also that some of the best players do, when they go back to the lock-in position, right before they start the forward swing, they do this, and the wrist breaks. Rather than maintaining the strong position, rather than maintaining the proper leverage, once they're here, they have the tendency to do this. Sometimes it's okay for the racket or the strings to be closed. What you don't want to see is you don't want to see this position on the wrist. And they do that a lot in the locking position here, right before they start the forward swing. They need to maintain strong locking position, either here or this way, but the wrist doesn't collapse. So from the lock-in position and the leverage point starts the forward swing. From here, the non-dominant hand starts pulling away. We start rotating the hips and the shoulders. The racket lags a little behind. So this is the way the forward swing starts. From the lock-in position, again, the lock-in position and the leverage, the hand pulls back. We open hip, shoulders, the racket lags a little behind, and the position of the arm doesn't change until contact point. All we're doing is rotating hips and shoulders to be able to create that power from here all the way to here. That's the forward swing. In the forward swing, it is important the use of the left hand. From here, the student is going to pull and the player is going to be able to execute the shot. What you're going to see a lot sometimes is that the arm stays down. The ball comes and the arm comes out and they try to swing from here, and this arm is just dead here. This arm is important. This hand is going to open up, catch a racket at the end. The use of this hand is very important. Don't let it drop the hand and just leave it there. So make sure this is your balance, this is your power as you swing in the forward motion. The contact point is determined by the grip. Semi-western grip, for example, the racket is here a little more in front, it's about waist level. Okay, the eastern forehand grip is a little below, a little lower, a little far behind. With the western grip, also it's a little higher and in front. So the contact point is determined by the grip. The grip determines a lot of things. First of all, the space. How close are you to the ball when you're making that contact point? Again, if it's a eastern forehand grip, you're going to be feeling the ball with a lot more space, a lot farther away from your body, a lot farther away. Now, if it's an eastern forehand grip, semi-western grip, you're going to be hitting the ball a little closer to your body. Again, from all the way from this position here, all the way to the contact point, this part didn't move, the arm didn't move. And again, the contact point is extremely marked by the position of the racket and the hand and the grip. Okay, this is what determines the contact point. Again, the motion is a continuous motion, it doesn't stop. So from this position here, what we talked about before, from the lock-in position, we're going to make contact with the ball in front. The contact point is going to depend on the type of grip that you have. If you have a semi-western grip, the ball is going to be a little closer to your body. If you look at the arm, a little closer to your body, it's going to be at waist level and it's going to be in front. If you have an eastern forehand grip, the contact point is going to be a bit more behind you and also the ball is going to be lower. If you have a western grip, the contact point is going to be higher and in front of the body. So the grip is going to determine the contact point in all the shots. Remember, again, the swing is a continuous motion, and when you make contact with the ball, it's going to be determined only by the grip. Remember that the contact point depends on the grip. Semi-western grip, the contact point is in front. And same thing as the spacing. Make sure that the spacing is the correct spacing. If the student is making contact with the ball and is too far away from the body, he's going to lose his power. If he's too close, he's going to lose also his power, his control. If the ball is too low or if the ball is too high. So it's very important that every time he makes contact with the ball, he's in the proper position. Okay, so the contact point, that's what it's going to, the sound of the ball. You're going to hear the sound of the ball being crisp. If the sound of the ball is not clean, it's not neat, because the student is not making contact with the ball in the proper space. So after contact point, the racket starts turning. And by it start turning, the forearm starts turning. It's forearm and wrist that start turning. Again, this is modern tennis. If you look at the racket in this position here in the professional players, the racket is open, the strings are open, and the racket continues in this direction. If you look at the racket in this position here in the professional players, the racket is open, the strings are open, and the racket continues in this direction. Okay? Now in the past, the players used to hit the ball this way, all the way to here, and from here, the racket used to go back. Now that's the tennis in the old times. Today we want all the students, 8 years old, 9 years old, all the way to the professional players, to make sure they make contact with the ball, and right away the racket needs to turn very quickly, very, very quickly. This is gonna give them the acceleration. This movement here is gonna give them the acceleration and the spin to be able to keep the ball on the court. Again, this part of the swing, we call it palm out. Make contact with the ball, and right away, palm out. You gotta turn the palm out. Right away, palm out on that follow through. Make contact with the ball, and right away, palm out. You gotta turn the palm out. Right away, palm out on that follow through. On contact, it's important that when the student hits the ball, the racket pronates right away. As soon as they make contact with the ball, the racket pronates, so it needs to look this way when we're looking from the other side. If the racket looks this way, the student is not pronating. And you're gonna see a lot of players when they hit the ball, the racket, if you film in slow motion, the racket looks up, and then they bring it down. So what we wanna do is, we need to avoid this position of the wrist like this. We need to make sure the racket, right away, when they make contact with the ball, the racket turns around, and they finish with the palm inside out, okay? So look for this position here. This is the wrong position on the follow through. So after the contact with the ball, opening the racket comes the follow through. And the follow through is a segmented swing. If you look at the good players when they hit, the arms look very relaxed at the end. When they hit the ball, the arm looks very, very relaxed, like in little pieces. It's all segmented. In the past, the racket used to go very straight forward and out. It was very mechanical. They used to go out and forcing the stroke. Today, when you look at the players hitting the ball, they hit the ball very, very segmented, very easy. Now, one thing that we're looking for is to make sure that the elbow is away from the body. We don't want the students to hit the ball and come here. We want the students to hit the ball, they're relaxed, and out. Now, the other thing that you're gonna see in this follow through is that the arm is not gonna go all the way out and back. That's what a lot of people still teach us today. No, as soon as they make contact with the ball, the arm right away pronates, the arm stays close to the body or the arm very relaxed, very segmented on the follow through, and we want the students to finish with the racket up. Also in the follow through, if you look at the racket, it's inside out. We don't want the strings to be closed at the end. We don't want the palm to be closed. We want the racket to be open at the end of the stroke. The strings open at the end of the stroke. This is gonna give us a lot more power, and this is gonna give us a lot more control. All this is modern tennis. Again, very relaxed, opening the strings, and palm out at the end. This is the follow through, a segmented swing. In the follow through, we don't want the arm to go very far out and away from the body this way. This was the way it was taught many, many years ago, not anymore. Remember, you make contact with the ball, you pronate, and right away the racket comes in like little pieces, segmented swing. This is the famous segmented swing that is modern tennis. Don't let your student go all the way out this way and then bring the racket around. Right away they make contact with the ball and disengage. The other thing that you could do wrong, that you could see wrong, is when they make contact with the ball and the racket finishes too close to the body. Make sure the arm finishes out and away from the body and the elbow high at the end of the stroke. This is the important part, away from the body at the end of the stroke. The way the players finish is very personal. If you look at Djokovic, when he finishes, the racket finishes all the way here like this in the follow-through. If you look at Nishikori, when he finishes, the racket is more here. Essentially, it's more personal. And also depends a lot on how the ball that they're going to receive. Sometimes you're going to see Nadal, when he finishes stroke, he finishes up here. But what they all try to do in practice, especially in practice, you're going to see all of them trying to finish with the racket up and catching the racket with the other hand. When the match starts, all depends on the ball that they receive. So that's what is more personal. But what they try to do every time is they're making sure when they finish that the racket is open at the end and make sure they finish with the elbow away from the body at the end. That's important of the finish part. Also in the finish, don't let them close the racket at the end. Make sure this hand is not closed, the strings are not closed at the end. Make sure when they finish that the racket is open at the end. Open the strings at the end. This is modern tennis. It doesn't matter the grip that they have. They need to open the racket at the end. Don't let them do this. Look for this at the end. This is a mistake. This is a no-no. When they finish, the racket open at the end of the stroke. The players today use so much torque, they use so much power out of the core that when they hit the ball, it's very difficult for them to leave the feet on the ground. So as they're hitting the ball, they hit it with so much power that usually the foot comes off the ground. If they hit him from here, the same thing, the foot comes around. You're not going to see a player today hitting the ball and keeping the foot back, because the players today, like I said, they're using a lot of the core to be able to hit the ball. The elastic energy they have accumulated is so strong that the foot comes off the ground. And again, you're going to see a lot of those players when they hit the ball. Most of the players when they hit the ball is the action-reaction. They hit the ball and right away the foot comes off the ground. Or they hit the ball and right away the foot comes around. Again, it's an action-reaction. You cannot tell a kid to hit the ball and then bring the foot around. That's a no-no. That's going to happen by itself. It's because of the power that they have accumulated. Again, you're going to see, for example, players like Nishikori. Every time he hits the ball, he's off the ground. You're never going to see the kid hitting the ball with the feet on the ground. And it's because of the accumulation of energy that he has as he hits the ball. When the young players see the professional players playing, they think that they're jumping. So they sooner start going and jumping and hitting the ball. Don't let them jump. It's an action-reaction. If they're hitting the ball with enough acceleration, if they're hitting the ball with enough torque, as they hit the ball, they're going to come around. Or from here, they're going to come around. But remember, don't let them just hit the ball and jump to hit the ball. Or don't let them hit the ball, and then do this. No, it's an action-reaction. Very different, two different things. Also, the players today move in a very efficient way. As they're hitting the ball, they're already recovering. It's not like before that they used to hit the ball and stay there. Today, the players hit the ball. As soon as they hit the ball, they're already recovering to the middle of the court. One of the first steps what we're going to teach all our students is to make sure that the first step is a crossover step, a very strong crossover step. So when they're running wide for the ball, they get set. As they hit the ball, they already transfer the weight of the body to the middle. And the first step is a crossover step to be able to recover quickly. So those are some of the recovery steps that the students need to take right after they hit the ball. And after they hit the ball, at the same time, they need to recover. Remember, a crossover step. Typical mistake when they hit the ball, as soon as they start going to the center. No, they hit the ball, crossover step, and then they're ready to hit. So that first step, a strong crossover step. Don't let them just shuffle to get to the ball.